After this game, after last night's game, I thought it was very obvious that the Cavaliers, generally speaking, were waiting for LeBron to bail them out, and it never happened. And that just should have been different because they should have known better. And I think that the rest of those guys, I mean, J.R. Smith had a garbage series. Darren Williams was garbage, actual hot garbage, 98.6 degrees of garbage. Channing Frye, who was big in the postseason, was nowhere in the finals. They couldn't even use him because he couldn't keep up with the Warriors' athleticism. Tristan Thompson, invisible for most of this series. I mean, this just was not a very good effort from the Cavaliers. And it bothers me, not as a Cavaliers fan. I don't root for or against the Cavs, but because we deserved a better series than that. We all waited and wanted Cavaliers-Warriors, and then when it finally got here, the Cavaliers didn't show up for the first two games. And so if you start down 2-0 against the Warriors, how quickly do you think it's going to end? There was just no excuse for them not to show up in the first two. And then they gave away game 3. And last night was a good game. Last night was an interesting game. Last night was the way that the series should have been. That Golden State, to me, much better basketball team, was going to win the finals. But last night was a better representation where, all right, it's kind of back and forth, good action, a lot on the line, and it could go either way depending on a spurt here or there. We didn't really get a great series because the Cavs just decided not to show up at times. And even last night, there were moments where the Cavaliers' effort wasn't very good. And I look at James Jones, who's been around the block and has played with LeBron for years in both Miami and now in Cleveland. James Jones had some really interesting comments last night after the loss. That team makes you pay. They make you pay at an unbelievable rate. When you make a mistake or you're a split second slow or you miss an assignment or for just a second you're not conscious with what they're trying to do and who they are, they do a great job of reminding you of that every time you make a mistake. That's not a team you can beat unless you're focused on limiting your mistakes and being in the right place and executing at an extremely high level. How often do you think you saw the Cavaliers execute at a high level? I mean, frankly, it might have been never because Game 4 was kind of an anomaly. I mean, they just hit everything they shot from outside. In some ways, that's execution, but in some ways, that's simply shots falling. That was a team that didn't play with defensive intensity. That was a team that you could see coming down in the regular season was going to have to flip that switch to play with a focus and a defensive mentality, and they never did it. They never clicked into that in this series, and that was very odd, and that was very disappointing.